Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Sergi, and you are listening to the first ever Inner Spark Studios podcast. Our intentions for this podcast are to bring you the journeys of real people and how mindfulness, meditation, and/or spirituality found them. We believe that everyone's story has the ability to change someone's life. Though helping one person might not change the whole world, but it could change the world for one person. Now let's jump into it. Today's journey is brought to you by the amazing Cheyenne. She is a licensed cosmetologist and barber. She is also a future advocate for mental health among stylists. I met her at Urban Fellow Barbershop and Shave Parlor, located in downtown Providence under the Biltmore Garage, where I've been going to for about 6 years now. One day Cheyenne cut my hair, and now here we are. So welcome, Cheyenne.
Thank you so much for having me, Michael.
Appreciate you being here and being the first guest on our show.
Wow, I didn't realize I was the first guest, so now I'm a little bit
Little, little,
nervous, I guess.
little extra pressure.
No, it's so awesome. I'm actually honored that you asked me because I was a little bit shy, I guess, because I was like, oh well, I don't know, I don't know any much about this topic, but I'm a baby, so I'm glad to be here, and I'm excited to learn some stuff and chat with you. It's always good conversations behind the chair, and we're not behind the chair right now, but I know that we'll have a good conversation.
Absolutely, absolutely, as we always do. And that's what I like. I like to have the different levels. Just because you say you're a baby or new at this doesn't mean you don't have anything to offer.
Oh, thanks.
So
That's funny. That's good.
so yeah, just tell us how you started out. What was it that drew you to mindfulness, or what was it that mindfulness drew to you? Is that right?
Sure, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, yeah, that worked.
Because I feel like mindfulness found me.
Hmm.
Um, I About 4 years ago, I restarted my career in the hair industry. I became a licensed barber. Um, and I would say probably like 4 months into being a barber full time, I thought I had carpal tunnel. I was messing up my back, my feet were killing me, and stylists know that they're on their feet almost 80% of their day. Like it's a long day. And so I figured I would get into yoga to kind of help with my alignment. Um, so by starting yoga, it has slowly grown into an every other day practice of yoga, which has led to mindfulness, which has led to meditation, which I have only recently gotten into, probably last fall, maybe. So that was my start. It was really more physical, and it turned into an inward, mental, spiritual thing.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And sometimes it's the little subtle hints that our body gives us, to kind of point us towards what our soul needs.
Absolutely.
What was it about yoga that you like out of other than the benefits of it?
Mhm.
What was it that you liked about it?
For me, it was the quiet, the peacefulness of it. I do enjoy working out. I do enjoy the fast paced atmosphere of the industry, of being in the shop, of being at hair shows, and it's go, go, go all of the time. The joke is that we hairstylists live on caffeine. Like that's in our blood. It's 90% coffee. Um, and I feel like when I started doing yoga, it gave me an outlet to be unplug and be quiet and be still. And that's really what drew me in. I was like, oh, I didn't know I needed quiet, you know?
Yep. Yeah. So what has your journey looked like since finding the mindfulness and meditation aspect?
I would say this is where it got exciting for me because I feel like if you think of mindfulness and meditation, you think, I don't know, like your elevated self. It takes a lot of work to get there, and
Hmm.
I'm so much more at peace with myself today than I was 3 years ago, and I feel like I've done not enough work, but a lot of work at the same time, if that makes sense. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it's
Yeah, no, it's yeah, and the same kind of happened for me. Is like the last year flew by, and it's like it's like Mike Posner said in one of his songs is like my inner growth is something that no one knows,
yeah.
and it's like, and I feel almost like because it's not what society's used to as putting in work,
Mhm.
it's like
Yeah.
city, for me a productive day is like reading and meditating,
Right.
and
I feel like the more time I spend meditating, the more productive I can be. Like our culture is a very much like task oriented, get things done, and that fits in line with like my personality. I'm very much like I have a to do list, I check everything off, and so for me, not actively seeing progress was really tough. I feel like I'm really working on this quiet time. It literally it started off at like let's try 1 minute, let's try 3 minutes, let's try, and it's a long time when you aren't on your phone and when you're not talking to somebody else and you hear something inside of yourself that says, hey, I'm like actually afraid, or I'm actually really happy and content. And hearing yourself say that, at least for me, I was like, whoa, what is that? So I had to listen to my inner voice, which, woof, that was heavy.
yeah.
Meanwhile, it's only been 3 minutes.
Absolutely, absolutely. When we first come to sit with our thoughts, everything comes up because it's like, all right, well, the door's open now.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, they're gonna keep knocking on the door until you open it.
Hmm.
And that turns into, harming the people closest around you, and nobody wants that.
Exactly.
Uh,
I would say it's almost, for me personally, I was afraid of that, afraid of all of my thoughts that I've ever had that I've suppressed, that maybe, you know, just different opinions of certain people. I'm in the service industry, so I have to kind of be like, wow, that one person is crazy. Like just they're all over the place. And I'm not gonna ever say that to that person, but I think it. And then it gets lost somewhere in my mind. And then where does it go? I don't know. So
yeah, yeah. So what does your meditation practice look like right now?
um, right now it is towards the morning time. It's my favorite time to I make time for my meditation. So it's usually like first thing in the morning, and I will either make a cup of coffee and like hold it in my hand, something warm, or I'll sit outside in nature when the weather's been nice, especially during this shutdown of the COVID-19 shutdowns. I've had slower starts to my mornings, if you will. So it's a little bit easier for me to start the day in peacefulness, and I will um, I set an intention for 5 minutes of just stillness, of just deep breathing and meditation. And I usually always go longer. But I know that if I do 5 minutes, I'll at least have done 5 minutes. And most of the time I go longer. Um, and then and then I'll either break into some yoga, and I'll do a little bit of yoga to wake up in the morning. And that's usually my practice for the day. It starts my day off right. And at the end of the day, I've been, before I go to bed, I do a nice little gratitude list, and that turns into a little bit of meditation. That doesn't always last very long for me because then I'm out, which I guess is good. It's a good way to unwind, but that's why I try to do it when I'm awake.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. No, I love morning. My meditations are like spread out throughout. It's more of just whenever I'm feel like it. But I definitely make sure that I do it. But whenever I'm feeling a morning meditation, or going outside and sitting in nature, I empathize with you 100%. It's just there's something more about it.
Oh yeah.
It's when you just allow,
Hmm.
and you just, whatever is happening in your life in that moment, it doesn't exist.
Right.
Just, it's absolutely beautiful.
I have been lately learning that I'm such a rigid, like rudimentary person. I like love my routines, and finding finding out that like, oh, it's I can take a break in the middle of this of the day. I can take 5 minutes right here, or 2 minutes, or just a few breaths of reconnecting, of being like, okay, yes, remembering my last meditation session and going from throughout my day, which I think I didn't always do that. I think that's been a more recent discovery of, oh cool, I can tap into this throughout my day. So I would agree with you on that.
Yeah, 'cause it only takes a couple breaths. That's
It's
just
amazing.
a couple breathe in, a couple breathe outs, and it's like it completely changes your body chemistry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I never A few years ago, I guess I was breathing really shallow. I Someone had told me it was like I was under a constant state of stress, and so my it was short, quick breaths. I didn't even know I was
Hmm.
breathing that way. And once I started doing constant, like deeper breathings, breathing, with mindfulness, and then getting into my meditation, it has slowed everything down for me. Where I'm no longer my inner body is no longer at such a heightened state of alert, and that fight or flight. And so now I'm breathing a little bit slower. I'm like, cool, whatever, man.
Definitely, definitely. Now talk to me more about the your desire to become an advocate for mental health among stylists.
Oh man, that has kind of come up within the last year, I would say, mostly because um, I know that the benefit of mindfulness and meditation, what it's done for my life as a stylist, as a barber, being in the industry, being in a very demanding, very fast paced industry of with the people. Um, and a lot of stylists that I've met, they've also said, I guess recently, more recently, they have said we've been a little bit more open about the conversation of seeing a therapist, or doing yoga, or having that daily workout time to pour out the cup of what we're constantly getting from our clients, which made me kind of question and wonder, like, what are we doing for ourselves as stylists? Like, how are we handling our mental health, or how well are we maintaining the boundaries between our clients and ourselves? And I think it does start with self. And being in this industry for over 10 years now, consistently, like full time for the last 4 years as a barber, um, it definitely drains on you. I've known people in this industry for 20 plus years, and they're good, solid people, and you can just tell that they're heavy from whatever they've absorbed throughout the day. And so I've noticed that when I let it go, when I have my meditation before I go to work, I'm in a better space to hear, to empathize, and to let that go and not bring it home with me, if you will. So
No.
that's how it came up. I've noticed the difference it's made in my life, and I'm passionate to help the person working next to me, the shop owner, the shop across the street.
Yeah, no, that's it. It makes complete sense, and the fact that you even like found other people among with the same ideals, that there are other people out there who are still vying for what you believe in as well,
Absolutely.
you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not, I think that we specialize in something very unique in a way of, um, we can almost instantly change someone's perspective of themselves. My personal model has always been, I want to make someone feel the best version of themselves so that they can go out and be the best version of themselves. And I know a haircut isn't like the heaviest inner work, but if you look great, you feel great, you might act great. um, so it is a very important job that a stylist do. I'm honored to do that, and so I know that for me, I feel my best when I look great, but I also know that I have to do the work inside of me, and so that's kind of where it's come from. So
Yeah, and sometimes, obviously a lot of this work is internal, but sometimes it can start with something as little as a haircut where you feel good, then you get that motivation to then maybe start a new practice, a new
yeah,
internal practice, or even just getting your haircut by you and then you saying something along the lines of mindfulness and meditation or just a way of thinking, and it
right,
just sparks something in your client's head that you didn't even know and they didn't even know
yeah,
and they don't even tell you, but then they go home and just
right.
something and it's still there,
Yeah. That's
and then
how. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, and it's like then next thing you know they're meditating, they're coming back to you and be like, yo, that one
Right.
little thing you said, like just it's
Right.
like that's the power that we have.
Absolutely. I would say I think it was a client. I mean, definitely something I've been aware of, yoga specifically, and I say that because that's what got me on this road to meditation. Um, I do believe it was a client that kind of like was like, oh, I've been going to this hot yoga, or going to this studio in downtown, and I'm like, cool, maybe I'll try that. And I would say that it's a little give and take between that relationship between the stylist, myself, and then my client, whoever's sitting in the chair, which you and I have had, great conversations about this. So cool.
Yeah. What would be one piece of advice you would give to yourself who just started out or somebody who is just starting out at practicing mindfulness or meditation?
I do think that we did talk about it a little bit of, it's, I would say, be patient. Um, so we had said, like, one time you go through a lot when you're doing meditation, and it seems like a really long time, and you get fidgety and you get anxious, or and then you look at the clock and it's been a minute and you're like, what? So for me, I'm very grateful that I stuck with it to, get a whole whopping 5 minutes before I start getting distracted. But um, I like to say that, like, 1 minute of mindfulness heals about like 30 seconds of anxiety. Now, this is not proven. This is just something that I say to myself. So, like, I can't undo my 20 plus years of stress and anxiety, or my 4 years full time behind the chair in my career, in one 10-minute session or 10-minute practice. So I have to show up again and keep coming back and be patient and do the work. And so that's what I would tell someone just starting off. Just start.
When you did start seeing little, like I know it's tough to see the growth or the improvement kind of at the beginning, but when you did start seeing it, when you
Yeah.
did start feeling it, what was the feeling?
It was almost like not a feeling. I'm a very I'm a very emotional person. So when I get frustrated, I'll seem even keel until I'm not, and I'll like blow over something super little. And I started noticing that a lot of little things that would irritate me no longer I wasn't as irritable. I was like, oh, well, all right, I'll just go, you know, I think you're the one who told me the story of you spilled something and you're like, oh, well, let's just go clean it up. That's like your next thought. My next thought would be like, oh, my day's ruined. And then after doing this mindfulness and being in the moment and almost this still peacefulness, I would, if I spilled something on my shirt right as I'm walking out the door to go to work, I'm like, oh, well, you know what? I didn't want to wear this shirt today. It's not meant for me to wear, so it became a little bit of a less of a reaction than an actual reaction for me.
Yeah, yeah, and that's exactly how I first truly realized it. I was
Isn't
like,
that crazy?
oh
You're like,
wow,
oh,
this is working. The little stupid things that I would have gotten worked up over no longer, they don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. So many
oh,
things, so many other things could have happened that are much worse.
yeah. So I would say that definitely. And for me, that almost in a sick way, because I'm such a like, oh, if it's hard or difficult, I want to do it. I started noticing those little things, and I was like, yeah, I want to do more. I want more of that. But it was so subtle, and it was like almost not noticeable that most people might be like, meh, it's not for me.
Have you struggled with the um, needing others to see the growth?
Mm.
I
Um,
know.
I mean, that's actually a really great question. I would say probably like those closest to me. I'm like, see, I'm not as angry anymore. See, like I'm not as afraid anymore. But I think if you're too close to a situation or a person, maybe it's harder to see. Or in my opinion, I'm just so eager to be like, yeah, like this is so exciting, this new growth that I've discovered within myself. I'm eager to share to, my girlfriend or my parents or my best friends or my, like my coworkers, people that I see all of the time. And I don't know, and I'll have to pay more attention to that because I know for a fact I'm like, yeah, but I'm not as grumpy anymore.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a tough one because people can't. It's tough for others to see it because others see through their perception of how they see
Yeah,
things.
right.
And it's like,
Exactly. And I think with you just even bringing that up, I think for me, it's the next time I notice it, I'll be like, all right, cool, and not say anything and just keep being mindful enough to like, if I'm noticing the change in myself, and then eventually others will be able to do the same. So
yeah, I mean, that's mindfulness right there. It's just being aware in the present moment,
yeah,
non-judgmentally. So
yeah,
and it's like, as long as you know that what you're doing is working,
right.
and that's all that matters.
Oh man, It's interesting that you say the word like judgmental because I'm so hard on myself. I'm so much like, you could have done this, like tiny little details, like obscure little details. I'm like very hard on myself. And this whole journey for me is very, it's almost freeing in a way that I'm like, well, it's not a mess. It's abstract. It's different, whereas give it like 5 years ago, I was like, no, definitely not.
Yeah, it's definitely a roller coaster ride at the beginning for
Oh,
sure. For
oh,
sure. So many ups, so many downs. And that's where it's like just being like how you said beautifully, like just be patient. Like it's something as
oh,
simple as that. Like when something comes up, just let it. That's it. Like, feel it to heal it.
oh, yeah. And I love that. Feel it to heal it.
Yeah.
I
We're
don't,
gonna we're gonna be putting that on shirts soon, so
oh, be first in line to cop one, man.
yeah. So let's go into a little bit of what's happening right now in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And so what has this time, the COVID-19 and the quarantine, especially being a barber and that you literally can't, what has this time meant for you? What has it taught you about yourself, or what have you learned about the world?
Honestly, and it's almost my favorite topic right now, even though it's still ongoing. It has completely shaken my world in particular, but the entire world, I feel like. And I'm not going to lie, it took me by surprise. And my response to it was of devastation. I was literally almost immobile for like the first few days. I was like, oh, okay, all right. Well, I was super naive about it, very hopeful. I was like, we're going to figure this out. We'll be back to work in a few weeks. And everything just, hit the fan, and everything started shutting down, and not being able to work and go to work every day and give and be a part of my community. And that really shook me. I was like, oh man, like everything that I've worked for in my career is gone. What do I have? And so I literally, for probably 2 solid weeks, I was just depressed. I would like wake up and go sit on the couch for hours. I like finish Netflix, like it's done. There's nothing new. And I think I needed that time to feel, like you said, feel it to heal it. I realized a lot about myself during that time. And then I would say 2 solid weeks, and then it started slowly ticking upwards, where I was like, okay, listen, just because I'm not allowed to work doesn't mean I'm not essential. So like, what can I do for myself so that when I get back into my community, I can learn from something, or connect, or empathize. So I had this huge, like, almost like a remodeling of the soul. I like gutted everything. I was like, oh, I sat down. I was like, I have no hobbies. I have now like 4 or 5 hobbies that I've been, doing. I got back into music. I played an instrument in 6-7 years. I have a bass guitar again, like just random different things that makes my soul happy. That makes me like, it's a different creative outlet. So, I've definitely watched a lot of tutorials and taken a lot of classes and did a lot of sanitation courses. And I'm definitely jonesing to be back behind the chair, but I know that I'll be stronger for it because of the time that I've been able to take and feel disappointment and depression and anger and hopelessness and helplessness, and then feel like, okay, well, this is how I can contribute. So I felt it all, and now I'm on the upswing, if you will, of that.
Wow, that's just, and that's the power of feeling it and allowing it, and just instead of suppressing it down and down and down and just keep covering it.
Yeah.
Like was it Will Smith says, God places the greatest things in life on the other side of fear.
Oh, I love that. I
And
love
it's
that
just,
quote.
and it might, his example was skydiving,
Oh, wow.
and essentially you went skydiving into your soul
Oh,
to heal it.
honestly.
And
Yeah,
it's
that,
just,
I know I know I'm not, I want to be careful with how I say this, because I think every individual person is unique in their own way. But I also know that I'm not alone in my journey during this shutdown, um, of being able to feel all of these heavy emotions and process through them. I know a lot of people who have, and I'm actually very fortunate that I didn't have to work, because, if something will happen, and you still have to clock in, you still have to go about your day and pretend like, for me, I leave home at home, and I leave work at work. So when I'm at work, I'm not processing things that might be going on in my relationship, or if I'm at home, I'm not processing things that have been going on at the barbershop or with my clients, So in this time of being at home, I've been able to work through things that I've been feeling about myself for years in my industry, or years in my relationship, So I've been very fortunate. I've seen the positive side of this shutdown. It's very small, but it's been positive.
yeah, yeah, but huge for you.
Oh,
Yeah,
phenomenal for me. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Now, I mean, if we had this conversation last month, I would have been like, bro, get back to me.
I wouldn't have been able to have the conversation with you because I wasn't here. That's what it did for me, was to be able to
Yeah.
get to this point to then put myself and Inner Spark out there doing this. So,
Isn't that
and
so
that,
wild?
yeah, absolutely.
That's exactly how I feel, because I think we're going on 2.5 months right now, maybe. I
Yeah.
think this is the ninth or so week. But yes, see, time flies. But I would say the same thing right around the time when you reached out and we started chatting again. I was like, oh wow, like if he had, it's perfect timing. It's just the timing is everything. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. How have you felt during this time? How has your relationships with others been? Like, how do you feel connected or disconnected to yourself and others?
um, I've definitely, I would say I feel the most connected right now. Um, for me, I always I was very guarded, and this whole um, isolation and COVID shutdown has shown me like, ooh, you've kept people so far away from you that it's hard to reconnect with them when you're not physically seeing them or physically spending time with them, right? And so that to me, I was like, oh, in what ways have I been pushing people away? And so now I have to be more intentional with my relationships, with my friendships, with my, any connection that I have with whoever I come across. So, and this is new for me because being vulnerable and saying, yeah, I've been depressed. I have been depressed during this time. That's a huge deal. Like, I would have never, let's just say last year, I would have never admitted that to anyone, let alone a client friend, such as yourself or whoever might listen to this podcast. It's, it's scary for me, but I feel like now I can connect on that and be like, cool. I mean, it happens, right?
And that's that vulnerability aspect.
Yeah,
That is, it's so crucial and beautiful to this process.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I got one last thing before we close out to ask you.
sure.
What would be a thank you letter sound like from you to mindfulness or
Oh,
meditation?
this one, this one will be good. It took me a little while from our last conversation. I did write something, so I'll read it to you. All right. Um, Dear mindfulness, meditation, and spirituality, I've never been that great at writing letters, but I guess that's the beauty of this whole moment. It doesn't matter if you're great, it matters that you show up. That was the first lesson you three taught me. You taught me I have more still to learn. You reminded me that I am whole and wholly wonderful. You've brought me on a journey I naively was unprepared for, and you are preparing me for moments prior to when I need them. You've reminded me that I am a spirit, free and flowing. You've taught me the lessons on myself when I explicitly asked to learn about those around me. You scared the shit out of me and you've shown me that I'm braver than I've acted. You've taught me the value of feeling my emotions. And above all, you've reminded me that as far as I've come, there is still further to go, and I am well on my way. For all of these things, I sincerely thank you. You each have shown me pieces of yourselves that I never would have put together on my own. I am eternally grateful. Cheyenne Luciani.
Wow, that was absolutely amazing and beautiful. Like
Oh, thank you.
wow. I mean, when I started this and that question came to my mind, I was not half expecting what. I mean, I'm not good at words all the time, but what you just articulated to
Oh,
everyone, like that was straight from the heart, straight from the soul. Like that was just very real.
Thank
It's
you.
very real.
Thank
Well,
you.
you're welcome, and thank you for being here, for
Oh,
sharing everything that you have to share.
I appreciate it. It's almost as though I was going to say, like, I had no choice because I feel like once you learn something, you should share it. And I'm very fortunate that we've crossed paths and that you've encouraged me to grow and in subtle ways. And even in this and preparing for this chat, I was like, oh, like, cool. I have to kind of explain why I do what I do. And that's not my typical behavior. So I've learned a lot about myself, and you've given me a lot to think about. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's part of my purpose, and that's part of everyone. That's part of our purpose is to just share and learn. And I definitely learned some things from you today, you know, and that's what this is all about. Is it's forgetting what you already know if you want to learn and grow. And I'm not
Yeah.
here to simply just put you on camera and have you speak. Like I'm here to pull certain things out of you as well and learn myself. You know,
Yeah.
that's how we're never we're perfect, whole, and complete, but never finished.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot.
So yeah, I'm truly grateful and truly I appreciate you so much for doing this again. And I think that was a very good
It
first
was a
episode.
good. We dipped our toes in, so
Yeah,
and we jumped right in after that.
yeah. And then there's
Very
like
cool.
the thing Elise Simon, who's the main person behind Inner Spark Studios,
Yeah.
told me
Yeah.
when she was pushing me to do this, she's like, just do it and put it out there. I don't care if it sucks or not.
Right.
And it was that little bit like, yeah, it doesn't matter if it sucks. This didn't suck, that's for sure.
I'm
There's
gonna.
amazing stuff here, but
I'm sure I've said some weird things that I'll listen to later and be like, that was not a complete sentence. What was that? But you gotta do it. And I'm proud of you, and I'm grateful to be the first, if you will, the first of many, hopefully, of the
absolutely. And I
journey.
can't wait to see where your journey takes you from here, especially among the mental health realm.
Oh
I think
yeah,
that that's going to be a huge thing for you.
I think
And
so as well.
who knows, you may become the face of it.
Oh, I hope not. Yeah, but definitely it'll open doors for sure. So I'm excited for that. But
Exactly, exactly. All right, well, thank you. And for everyone out there listening, until next time, keep fueling your inner spark.